Okay, so just to give you some live examples of how we actually write an equation of a circle. So I have this circle here, and the two important parts are the center and the radius. The radius can be drawn anywhere. So I pretty much like to do it horizontally or vertically because those would be the easiest to count. So 1, 2, 3, so I know my radius is 3, and I know my center is at 2, -5. Now what I'm going to do is this will be my H and that's my K. Those are the letters that they use to actually represent the center of a circle. So that H is like your X and your K is like your Y. So that H is going to go here and that K is going to go here. And your R is literally going to go here. So we're going to go X minus 2 squared. Now remember, when we're plugging it in, that's really just a positive, okay? So y minus a -5, I'm squaring it, and then we're going to plug in 3 for our radius. When we do the math or we simplify, remember, this is really just going to be x minus 2 squared. When you do the math here, remember, this double negative is going to change to addition. And then we can either keep this as 3 squared or we can write that as 9. It doesn't matter, okay? So that's one example. All right, let's look at another one. So again, two pieces that you need to write an equation of a circle. You need the center, and you need a radius. And remember, the radius just stands for the length of the radius. So I know my radius here is 2. And then I look at my center, and I'm at -2, -3. So I'm hoping that you're realizing some kind of pattern here so that when we plug in a negative here, it actually changes to be positive. So we know both of these are going to end up appearing to be positive in my equation. And then we'll take that 2 and plug it in right there. So we're going to go, so remember this is H and that's K. So we have X minus a -2 squared plus Y minus a -3 squared. I forgot the extra set of parentheses there. And then 2 squared. So remember, the double negative becomes positive. And in this case, both of them would, become positive. And we can either leave it as 2 squared or change it to 4. So you can tell by your equation whether the math was done or not. If there's not a squared there, then that means the math was done. They simplified it. All right. One last problem I just wanted to make sure that you realize. So when we have the center, in this case it's 0, 0, but in any circle you don't have to go vertically or horizontally to get your radius. You can go to any point on the circle. So if I went to this point right here, that's a radius, and there's an infinite amount of radii. So do you know what you would have to do to actually get the length here? You would have to use the distance formula. So remember, the distance formula looks like this. So we would have to do the distance between 0, 0 and 3, 4 to get the length of our radius. So if I plug that in, I get 3 minus 0. And then I'll get 4 minus 0. And remember, we're using these x's and y's right there from the center and a point on the circle. If we do the math, 3 minus 0, that's 3 squared. And if you do 4 minus 0, that's 4 squared. So remember, it's 9 plus 16. And remember, this all stays under the same radical. We don't separate that. And it's the square root of 25, which actually is 5. So now we know our radius is 5 and our center is 0, 0, and we can plug that in. When you do that, remember, it's x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared, and that equals 5 squared. And remember, when you're simplifying, when it's 0, 0, it's really x squared plus y squared equals 25, or 5 squared. All right. Just to kind of look at it without an actual picture, if I give you the information, you look and you see that you have your center is 0, 0, your radius is 10, and we have our equation of the circle already written. So remember, you're taking these and you're plugging them in, like your x and y, they use h and k, and then your radius just goes there. So you're literally going x minus 0 squared is y minus 0 squared equals 10 squared. We like this when it's a 0 because the math is pretty easy. So it just becomes x squared and y squared. And we can either keep it as 10 squared, or we can change that and do the math. So it's really, sometimes your preference, it's, would never be marked wrong if you left it in one form or the other. All right? And one last one. Let's just do one where our center is not 0, 0, and we have to do a little math. So remember, we always want to start with the equation of a circle. And you're literally going to take these values and plug them in. So it's pretty simple once you do that. So it's x minus a negative 1 squared, y minus 4 squared equals 7 squared. And again, when you see the double negative, you know that's going to switch. So that's x plus 1 squared. Not a double negative, so it's going to stay as y minus 4 squared. And that will become 49, or we can leave it as 7 squared. So I hope with some live examples that this answers any questions and gives you some extra practice.